What's happening, everyone? Welcome to this episode of Everything 9000. Today, we're going to talk about Newcastle United. They have got some new owners. Well, these owners could buy the top 10 Premier League clubs out, basically. They're that rich, they've got 320 billion to them.
Again, by the way, it's a country.
It's a country.
It's the Saudis as well. It's not any country. It's the most oil-rich, filthy rich country. I'm gonna try and hang back for this one, because I am absolutely fucking fuming.
Yeah, I mean, there've been talks, over, I'd say,
it almost happened last year.
18 months. Mike Ashley, previous owner.
Listen, I think a lot of Newcastle fans have celebrated this as kind of like a freedom day, right? And I get it. Look, Mike Ashley was a deep-rooted cancer in that football club, right? He had to be removed, right? There was no way that club was.
He wasn't letting the club progress.
100%, right? Yeah, the first thing that club needed to move forward was actually remove Mike Ashley. So that's one thing I 100% agree with. But what they've done is, they've replaced Mike Ashley with someone way more sinister.
So Newcastle owner has got 320 billion. I'll read off the list of the first top 10 now, and I'll read up how much money they've got. Their owners have got. Second are PSG with 220 billion. Yeah. Again, they're owned by
the Qataris.
Exactly. Then you've got a big difference. So where number two, you go into 220 billion. Then you go to Manchester City, owned by Sheikh Mansour. They've got 23 billion.
Yeah.
Right. Then you've got RB Salzburg and Leipzig.
Red Bull, right?
Yeah. 15.7 billion. Juventus, I was surprised, because Juve just normally go for free transfers. They don't really splash out.
They're owned by a very rich family, aren't
14 billion.
Yeah, they're owned by one of the richest families in Italy, I think. It's actually a private company, that Juventus. I don't think it's a public company, that one.
And then you've got Chelsea, 10.5 billion, obviously Roman Abramovich.
Yeah.
Been in the country for a long time. Then you've got LA Galaxy, 8.1 billion.
LA Galaxy?
LA Galaxy at number 7. And then, the Kroenkes at number 8 with Arsenal.
But the Arsenal don't see a penny of that.
They've got 6.8 billion. But yeah, like you said, I've not seen a penny of that yet. Why do we always bash Arsenal? But anyway, number 9, Inter Milan, 6.2 billion. And then number 10, Wolves, 5.2 billion.
Shit, really?
Yeah.
But you know what? To be honest, all these, from the football perspective, mean nothing really. Because it's the wealth of the person controlling the club. That doesn't mean they're going to put all of that money into the club.
Well, do you know what? You say that. I mean, you're right when it comes to Wolves. You're right when it comes to maybe Arsenal.
Yeah, basically.
And Salzburg and Leipzig. But you're wrong when it comes to PSG and City.
Yeah.
And Chelsea.
Chelsea, I would, again, Chelsea.
Abramovich has carried them.
You
can't say he invests 100, 200 million every transfer window.
Indirectly, Putin owns that club, man. We really, nobody, runs shit in Russia, even abroad, without Putin's blessing. So, obviously, there's some shady shit there anyway. He's in close circles with Putin anyway. But, yeah, the other two, the three with Newcastle now, kind of state-owned. They are literally backed by countries.
Unlimited resources, unlimited money.
And not only that, but then they've got how PSG and Man City just go around the financial fair play by just basically inflating their own deals from their own companies and stuff. So we'll get on. I want to get onto that. But do you think it's fair that a club should be owned by a state?
But football is going in that direction. We've seen it. That's what I'm trying to say to you.
But do you know? It's going in that direction is one thing. But do you agree? Do you think that if some
money talks.
Money talks, but do you...
Football is money.
No, but do you agree with it?
But do you agree with footballers earning 100k a week?
No, 100% don't.
It's the sport you watch.
No, it's the sport that I watch, but obviously, look, okay, do you think a football club should be backed? What do you think about PSG and Man City, the unlimited, literally, it's
But then this is where financial fair play should be holding its own and making sure, there's a regulated...
They go around it by literally, because they're a country, they'll have Etihad, for example, right, for the Qataris, right, at Man City. All of the sponsorships are a majority of them, the big ones, are all from Qatar. So all they need to do is, it's all, the financial play is all about your income and your spending, right, yeah, your spending can't be like a certain above like your income and all that, right? Yeah. So what they do is they inflate their like, you know, the sponsorship deals they've got with, I don't know, like for example Etihad, you know, with the shirt sponsors, Fly Etihad and all that, right? Yeah, they inflate them to reflect that they're not making a loss, but in reality, you know what, like it's just they are using their own pocket to pay themselves. Whereas a club like Liverpool, for example,
Liverpool are billionaire owners.
Liverpool are billionaire owners, but like we don't have any control over like, you know, what our sponsors are going to offer us, right? You know, we can't like inflate the numbers, for example, with Nike, right? You know, we can't, okay, well, if Nike's got a £50 million deal with us for the season, we can't jig the numbers to make the financial fair play and say, oh no, it's not 50, but it's actually 70, you know what I mean? And that's what's been happening at PSG. That's what happens at Man City. But with the rest of the clubs, they can't do that. Man United, they can't do that. You know, any of the like, even like Chelsea, they can't do that, right? So they have to meet those financial fair play rules. They either have to sell, like even when you look at like, you know, the clubs like Barcelona, for example, they have to get rid of like majority of the squad or like even reduce the wages. They had to get rid of Messi to meet that. So do you think that's fair that like PSG then and fucking absorbed all that and like got Messi? So do you think that's fair?
No, I take your point. It's a good point.
But alternatively, and I'll play the devil's advocate myself because I'm surprised you didn't, do you think there is any way, like, do you think that's the only way to break the dominance of like the traditional clubs?
Well, see, this is what I was going to bring on, right? So I was going to give you a couple of examples now where City were bought out in August 2008.
Yeah.
And they won their first Premier League title in 2012. Chelsea were bought out in 2003. And they'd won a Premier League before, I think it was 1955, but then they, you know, won it again in 2005. Yeah. 2 years after they were bought by Roman Abramovich. Another example, obviously not Premier League, but PSG. Bought in 2011, won the league in 2012 and pretty much ever since.
Yeah.
So, you know, what we've seen is these big owners come in, invest heavily, and within a couple of years, you've won a Premier League.
But yeah, so that's like the one, like, you know, Newcastle fans are excited because of that, right?
But see, Newcastle fans feel like they deserve to be back at the top. They were at the top. They won a league back in Shearer days.
Yeah. So they were one of the biggest clubs in England.
One of the biggest clubs. Yeah. They're like, you know, they're like a Leeds or a, you know, like a Villa. They're a big traditional English club.
Yeah, and they've got a huge stadium as well. And I think,
and it's a huge city. I mean,
without the money,
Newcastle have just been bought. Like I said, you know, Chelsea owned by Roman Abramovich. You think he's wealthy, you know, he's got 10.5 billion. Newcastle owners have 320 billion. Yeah. When are they going to win the Premier League? Do you think they're going to invest heavily straight away? Do you think they'll wait a couple of years?
No, I think with the way Saudis are and stuff, it's like for them, it's not to even make money. It's more about washing their image and like it's about status and like owning a Premier League club. And more so, the main reason they bought it is basically to try and wash their image globally. They've
done that a lot. You know, they held Anthony Joshua boxing fights there too.
Yeah, again, like, wholly disagree. But like, I mean, that guy, MBS, right? Yeah, he's a murderer, right? You know, he's the most corrupt man in Saudi Arabia. You know, he basically is the de facto ruler, right? He's the crown prince. He's the de facto ruler. He's actually, you know, do you remember a few years back, when he held all, like, Saudi Arabia is controlled by one family, right? Yeah, it's run by the family of the king, the House of Saud, as they call it, right? And there's like thousands of members in that family, and they all basically like run. They all have like businesses and stuff, but they all have like different positions within government, right? All the family members. And what this guy had done, MBS, was basically rounded up all of his competition, right? Took off all their money and stuff. But that was the whole news. It was when he detained people in like one of the 5-star hotels. Was it the Ritz, I think?
Right.
He had detained them, and a lot of them under the charges of corruption, and he made them sign over a lot of wealth back to the country and like back to the crown, right? And strengthen himself. So he eliminated competition first. Now he's like the de facto ruler, right? And then obviously any person that speaks against him is put in prison, or in fact, as you saw with Jamal Khashoggi, killed, right? In broad daylight. How brazen was that act? The fact that you bring a journalist who's been prominently speaking against you, writing for the Washington Post, right? Yeah, all these big papers, Western papers, that you just brought him into your embassy, like it's obviously with the rules of embassy and stuff, like nobody can go in unless, because of that, in that thing. They literally just fucking chopped him up, put him on, in some fucking carpet, brought him out, and that's it. And they thought And they came up with so many reasons. First, they tried saying he never attended. Then there was actually footage of him going in. Then they tried having someone dressed up as him, like walking out. They were like, oh, look, you can see he walked out. We don't know what he went, but it was actually just an act. It was done so badly. It was such a botched job as well. And we had like the Prime Minister here. Everybody was saying, except from Donald Trump, who says, well, he believes MBS, it wasn't him. But like everybody knows that he had that journalist murdered, right? But he still gets a seat at the table in all of the fucking UN meetings and all those, right? Yeah.
But there have been footage, of other world leaders sort of distancing themselves from him. Yeah,
but again, I don't know, and I think it's an all-time low for the Premier League as well. Last time it almost happened, it didn't happen. The reason it didn't happen was because of obviously so Saudi-Arabia and Qatar have this rivalry, right? Yeah, that they hate each other. They're always trying to do one up over the other, right? So in the Middle East, the Qataris have the rights to actually distribute the Premier League games, for example, through beIN Sports, right?
Right.
And the Saudis never had that. So what they did was they pirated that. So a lot of the games that you'd see piracy, right? Yeah, they did that. The Saudis, it was Saudi backed, and they would show them in the Middle East as well.
Right.
And the Premier League obviously had a problem with that because the Premier League was out of pocket because of that, right? So that was the reason they said, okay, well, we can't accept it because of this and so on, right? Yeah. And so now the Saudis have backed off that, and all of a sudden the deal's back on. You know what I mean? But it doesn't matter the fact that he's called a journalist. It doesn't matter the fact that the how bad the human rights abuses are in Saudi Arabia.
Money talks.
Money talks, but I hate it when people say that. And what? So what if money talks? Why should money talk? Why shouldn't we challenge that position?